Hello and welcome to Blackhawk TV for our stream of BW versus Somerset tonight at Baldwin Woodville High School in Baldwin, Wisconsin. My name is Jordan Lehman. I'm joined by Jeremy Nygaard and Zach Ambrose, our famous cameraman. How you doing, Jeremy?
I am good. First time of the new year on the stream, so
Right?
that's fun.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's been a while. Um, Obviously, a lot of teams playing holiday tournaments. BW um, in Menominee this holiday season where they picked up a couple wins. But here we are back at BWHS. The conference slate really opening up these next couple months. Obviously tonight with Somerset, both teams have played a handful of conference games, 4 apiece. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. And now we've got the JV portion of tonight's matchup. We've got number 11, Evan Clausen, 24, James Borkart, 12, Ryan Vienendahl, 14, Reese Guthrie, and 10, Jackson Johansson for the Hawks. And it looks like for the Somerset Spartans, we've got number 53, that's Jordan Walters. Number 15, that's Kane Donnelly. Number 2 with the ball now, Dylan Lesha. Number 10, Thomas Waskell. And scoring, number 30, Gabe Allen. And obviously, Nygaard Lesha, last name that we've seen on the big stage for the girls program for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think that when you look over this whole roster, and something that we actually talked about on our podcast, there's a lot of names that are really familiar. With a Lesha, with a that you mentioned on the girl side, but a Krybeck.
Yep.
That's playing on this team.
There's a Wink as well.
Wink, who we graduated a Wink. We saw him graduate last year. A couple of Gebheims. So
Right.
a lot of familiar names as far as that goes. But the one thing that Somerset did in the last couple of years is they graduated all their contributors.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the Somerset team that we saw last year, and the year prior, both extremely talented at pretty much all positions, and then last year was able to return most of those positions, almost all of them, with Medina Ortiz at point guard, who is one of the smoothest, most fun point guards to watch that the middle board have seen in a long time. They kind of reminded me, I don't know if they're quite on the level of the Ellsworth team that lost to Prescott in that, legendary what was it, 100 to.
It was a lot to a lot.
Right, but and I don't believe that the Somerset team last year was quite to that level, but it was one of those teams that, in a different conference or in a different year, probably take the conference by storm just because they were so talented in so many different ways. But
yeah, the 2 years ago, the only guy they lost was Ty Madden, and that team went out in the regional finals to Somerset, to Prescott at Prescott.
Great game.
In a game that was extremely hard fought. Prescott's season ended up ending because of the shutdown after the sectional semis.
Right.
But I mean, you're talking about a team that was the favorite at that point to go to state out of our section.
Yeah.
And really was pushed to the limit by Somerset, and maybe wins that game if Malmlov doesn't, the freshman at the time, go absolutely crazy in the first half.
Yeah, player of the year favorite this season, Jordan Malmlov for Prescott as a freshman, had, was it 4 or 5 threes?
I think it was 7. He had 18 or 21
yeah,
at half.
Yeah, he had, a first half where, obviously Coach Nygaard and myself had been a part of coaching BW that year and had competed against them twice, but never had seen Malmlov quite in that role where it was quite, it was literally like he was told, catch and shoot. If you get the ball and you get space, you got to let it fly. And it was, like you said, probably the primary reason that Prescott prevailed that night against a really good Somerset team. But all that being said, like you mentioned, this Somerset team, they lost quite a bit. They lost their 5 starters, but do bring back a lot of young, talented kids, a lot of experience, kids that have experience playing with each other. I know I watched last year the DeYoung, I believe that's how you say it, and the younger Gebheim on the JV floor, really impressive, both of them. and they're obviously playing a lot of varsity minutes this year. So 5-0 in the early going of this JV game, 16-minute halves for JV contests.
I'm curious to see. I mean, obviously, we do not watch the amount of games that we did when we had access to all the film at our fingertips. But I'm curious to see how Somerset, if they put the pressure on the varsity like they have so far in the JV. We've turned the ball over a number of times. You know, I don't even know if we've
Ryan Wienendahl for 3.
And I was going to say, I don't even know if we've attempted a field goal yet. It's been travels. It's been bad passes, and really the press that they're putting on right now, the 2-2-1 is not. It's not really designed to get a turnover right now, but it just changes the tempo of the game and forces you into positions that are uncomfortable. And if you're comfortable playing at a faster pace, because that's what it's really going to do, it plays into your hands. But if you're not, which this JV has not seen pressure in this building that we've seen, it creates these turnovers that then give Somerset an advantage.
Yeah, the only other team I think we've seen that was very intentional with their pressure would probably be St. Croix Central, and they were less consistent with it. It'll be interesting, like you said, to see if Somerset, if that's something they're going to hang their hat on, and that's something that, like I mentioned, I think that this team does have, both in the varsity level and this level, athletes, and that have played together. They're younger, but sometimes when you have athletes, maybe with a little bit less experience, speeding the game up can help them think a little bit less. And when you're thinking less, usually, if you're still doing, the fundamentals of the sport well, the less you think, the better. The more it's just instinctual, and doing what you've been coached to do, the better you're going to be. So it'll be interesting to see, if they continue to speed it up on the varsity level. We've got 5 subs in for BW here. We're going to have Fern Denzer, number 22, Maddox Mahoney, number 30, Tall Paul, Brody Paul, number 32, number 42 is Mr. Feedy. I always forget his first name. Landon Feedy, and then number 20, Elijah Heimer.
And Axel Mahoney. Maddox Mahoney has just came back from injury and has played. Really, to me, he's the one that's impressed me the most versus the expectations that I had for him. Obviously, we watched a lot of these kids play, in middle school, but just what he's been able to do and finding himself in the right spot. So I'm curious to see if he can keep that going.
Yep, and he's, as always, impressing with the beard. I saw him the other day running some errands, and he really got a kick out of the beard shout out, and it is impressive for a sophomore. So Hawks down 4, 5 in, 5 out. Second time we've seen Coach Ashland turn to that, and it's probably a nicer night depth-wise for Coach Ashland. I know from experience coaching on really any level, when you've only got 6 or 7, which he's had at times this year due to injury, it's not fun. He's got 10 tonight. Mr. Borkhardt getting some JV run, which is only going to help his development. We've got another turnover though, and Lesh is going to go to the rim, and he's going to shoot 2 free throws.
When we do get back to the other side of the court, and the camera's pointed towards the Blackhawk attacking end, shout out to the 2 girls in the doorway. Jordan Letter Jr., 6-footer.
Yeah. Very
good volleyball player, softball player. And then next to her, Marnie Romhild, who is closer to 5 feet tall, but plays like a 6-footer on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Girls basketball team's been pretty good to start the year here for the Hawks. I think they're on a 5 or 6 game winning streak.
Yeah, I was just looking last night. I think it's at 6, and tomorrow night, huge matchup between BW and Osceola in girls hoops here. Osceola's won 7 in a row, or 6 in a row rather. 7 in a row, sorry. Behind, almost 25 points a game from Hattie Fox, and it'll be fun. Looking at that, it's interesting. Osceola's won a lot of games. I'm not sure the level of competition is the same between BW and Osceola, but not a ton of conference comparables. So yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, both teams expect to win. I know that Fox is one of the most talented girls in this part of the state, so it'll be super fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. She's the real deal. As you've seen here with Somerset, they're pushing the tempo. Lesher just hit a 3, and then they got a fast break opportunity there and just unable to convert the layup. Yeah, Dylan Lesha is he's a good player.
Yeah, he's going to go up. And his hand got pretty close to the rim there, so I think I know he's been in box scores at the varsity level for the Spartans, so I'd expect he'd probably be done after this half. But we'll see. He's going to shoot 2 free throws.
Yeah, just the names that seem to pop out in the varsity box scores, and then just based on what we've seen here in 6 minutes of gameplay, I think their sophomore class is very strong.
Yeah, I think the Cayman, Gebheim, Lake DeYoung, and Dylan Lesha might be the three-headed monster, so to speak, going forward.
Well, and Krybeck is not. Caden Krybeck is not suited up here for JV.
Right.
And he's a sophomore.
Right.
But that's one of the things that they play a lot of guys. Ethan Ferndenzer hitting a 3.
Right.
They're not bringing back a ton of experience, so they've been playing a lot of guys, I think, for Coach Wink to try to figure out exactly how he wants his rotation to look. And the Rory Hoff kid, was it Hoff? No, Mull, Savian Mull, leading scorer.
Yep.
I don't remember him from last year.
No.
Like, I don't even know if he was getting varsity run at all.
No, and the same thing with Hoff. I mean, I talked with Coach Wink at a scrimmage for football this fall. We were in Rice Lake and just talked because Hoff was a very, very good quarterback for them this year. Really talented at running the jet option that they switched to. And yeah, he said that he really didn't play much last year. That Hoff is, he's a really good athlete, obviously, and he had a really good fall, but they were so well set with their kind of starting 5 and even their reserves last season that a lot of new faces, but like you said, some recognizable names. We've got subs for Somerset. Looks like Wink and Krybeck are going to come out.
Yeah, I totally missed that Krybeck was playing. Thanks for not correcting me.
That's all right. Number 53, Jordan Walters, a very good tackle for the football team. Can't remember if he was right or left, but he's a very, very good football player.
I don't know if you remember Khalid El-Amin from Minneapolis North.
No.
He ended up going to UConn, winning a national title, getting a little run in the NBA, but really made his name for himself overseas. He was like 5'9", probably close to about 200 pounds, and he was a point guard. Elijah Heimer is giving me the old Khalid El-Amin vibe.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a point guard, but plays like one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was at the end of the football season. I was asking Elijah, what he thought his role was, and he's like, "I shoot, I shoot threes, coach." And he's definitely done that, but it looks like we got him at the 1 with this group. Hawks have cut the lead down to 4, 7-11. That pass is going to go off the hands of Heimer.
And then his face. I mean, he's a lineman. Not a tight end for a reason.
Yeah, we as the skill position players that make that sacrifice to go to the line. We don't get as many reps, but you should see some of the catches that are made in the lineman challenge on Thursdays. Coach Kiefer for the last handful of years has done where you separate the linemen into teams of 3 or 4, and you got to go the length of the field and back 200 yards just passing the ball and catching the ball. And there's some attempts that would go as you'd expect between linemen,
right,
which are comical, but there's some where it's like, yeah, that dude could be wherever he wanted to be on the field, but he's done what the team needed. Clay Lorenz.
Well, I was going to say it had to be Clay Lorenz, because Clay Lorenz was our.
He had almost probably 500 yards receiving as a sophomore in the JV, and then transitioned to helping out at tackle. So he's a great kid. And that's Dylan Lesha. Looks like we're going to have him.
Can you explain to me what just happened? Because Somerset just had a guy run off the court.
I don't know. I'm not sure what happened.
Did you see that?
I did not.
53
Did we just have a hockey sub or what?
Yeah, I mean, the ball was going left to right, and he's running off the floor right to left towards the bench. Like,
officials maybe letting that hockey substitution fly for the sake of the game. Jackson Johansson.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun seeing him flip the switch. The ball didn't come with, but Hawks are going to have blocks and elbows under the basket. And a little lob to Clausen for 2.
Oh.
That rattles out. So for 0.
And Evan is saw a little bit of varsity time in Menominee.
That's good. That's good to hear. And you know, he's a kid that's going to be his destiny sooner than later. And that's good for him to get that experience, especially in a holiday tournament.
So that 3 was Kane Donnelly, a freshman, who also gets some varsity time. Mom is the principal at the high school.
Sure. Reese Guthrie's going to turn, and a couple years I'm sure that'll be a two-handed flush. But for now, Guthrie's going to go to line with 2 foul shots. Somerset's lead back up to around 10, 16-7. We're over halfway through this first half. Yeah, the varsity game, when you look at matchups, it's exciting because Somerset, you look at their box scores and the teams they've played and the results they've produced, it's kind of like a hot or cold, right? Which is to be expected from a young team. You know, either they're clicking and they're feeling it, or, you know, things, maybe the wheels fall off early and then they don't quite get back on. And then the opposite can be said for BW. I mean, they've got 5, maybe even 6 dudes that average, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. And they're a pretty steady team. They do a lot of things well. Defense very, very well. And the offense definitely picking up with their last 3 wins. But a little bit interesting to see because Somerset wants to prove that they're a top 3 team. And BW kind of wants to prove that there's no doubt, right? That they are. There's 2 echelons this season, maybe 3, but the top tier is going to be BW, obviously, and then Central and Prescott. So it'll be fun to watch. Yeah,
I was very impressed by the Hawks against Rice Lake.
Oh yeah.
And that to me was a game they could win. You know, Coach Lebecki used to do that with football. He would talk about games we should win, games we will win, and games we could win. And if you do win a game that's a could win game, that's huge for the team because, you know, I don't think there was a lot of people, you know, neutral people that walked into the gym that thought the Hawks are going to beat Rice Lake, and they really did a good job on the oars, and played a really complete game, and I think it's going to be great for them because then they go to the good take.
Nice move there by Evan, little fake up in.
They go into that tournament and play pretty well, and really gives you confidence rolling in. And this is, like you said, when the conference schedule gets how it's about to get, a lot of the questions get answered.
Yep. Yeah, super exciting. One thing that I want to highlight on the stream that I've reflected on was it was so fun to see Cam Thompson take control late in the game versus Rice Lake.
Yep.
He's a kid that has had the ability to be on a varsity floor since he was a freshman.
Yep.
And has played consistent varsity minutes since he was a sophomore, and always has been a guy that wants to lead the team and get people involved, play extremely hard on defense, and not really be the guy that's gonna, you know, take the ball and handle the ball the whole possession or take every shot. But seeing him come down, make some shots, make some free throws in the last 2 minutes against Rice Lake when defense was really mostly on display that afternoon, was a lot of fun, and it's really exciting for him.
Yeah, the thing with Cam, I mean, obviously, you have an idea of what you think you're going to get out of guys coming into a season. There we go, James. And coming into his sophomore year, you know, I think we thought he's going to be someone that can give us some bench minutes, but enough minutes to make sense that he would be a varsity-only player.
Right.
And his first game as a varsity player was against River Falls that year.
Right.
And it got to the point where, I mean, he was in over his head in mid-November, and then work goes down at Amory right before Christmas, and Cam goes in the starting lineup, and I think he started every game since.
Right.
You know, including a half, I believe, and you'll probably remember this better than I will, a half against St. Croix Falls, that first half.
Yeah.
Where he had double figures and kept us in that game.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's having him just kind of say, put the team on his back and finish that game was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And great, like I said, great for the team's confidence, but that's great for his confidence going forward.
Absolutely, because we've talked about numerous times, both on the podcast and the stream, when things are tight and it's late in the game, who's going to be the guy? Because it's definitely a benefit. It's definitely productive, beneficial, can be successful in high school to just spread the wealth. Have like BW has this year, a number of guys averaging around 9-10. But it's very hard to find a team that wins huge games against really good teams without somebody who decides to take that shot, because somebody has to, and he did, and it was super fun. I'm also curious to see if they're able to replicate the defensive strategy they used on the older going down the stretch against maybe Prescott and Prescott with Malmloff.
Right.
Against the Hack Barths of the world at St. Croix Central. It'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to start tonight with picking up a big home win against Somerset. JV game, Hawks down 6. Got about four.
Well, that's offensive. Yeah, you can't do that.
4.5 to go. Offensive foul on Mr. Walters.
You get the 2 officials in the JV game, 3 officials in a varsity game. I took my boys to the Wolves game last night. 2 officials.
Really?
One was a G League call up due to a shortage of officials, and it was not well officiated in my opinion. In fact, at one point, Cat called out the official for being a G League guy and got teed up. After he called him for an offensive foul, that was a bad call. But yeah, it's hard to ref a JV game with 2 officials because you don't have all the sight lines, and then turn around to an NBA game with two guys is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Pack's only 1 call away NBA.
That's true.
I mean, what are we doing? He wasn't at open gym last night though, so I'm sure he had some other reffing obligations.
That started now, huh?
Oh yeah, we had 9, which is just 1 short of 10, but we played 4s and it was fun. It was fun.
Lots of fouls here so far. Both teams will be in the bonus on the BW's next fall.
Greenfield teacher Mr. Schomer in the building. I don't know how many home BW basketball games he's missed in the last decade and a half. Probably not many. My dad told me a story once that Matt once, for some reason, I don't know if he graduated with somebody or knew somebody that knew an NBA player.
Yeah, so he graduated with Andy Boscholt.
Okay.
And Andy then went on to coach Steve Novak at Brown Deer.
Sure. Who
then proceeded to make his living in the NBA shooting corner threes.
Right.
And Matt and Andy went down to Oklahoma City, or maybe it was when Oklahoma City was in Milwaukee or something, during the KD and Russ era.
Sure.
So, yeah, Matt's got some stories about riding around a vehicle with Novak and Nick Collison and Russell Westbrook coming up to him and introducing himself as Russ.
Yeah, and my dad said, Matt goes, he's shaking hands with Russell Westbrook, and Russell goes, "Hey, I'm Russell."
Yeah.
And he's like, he's thinking, "I know who you are."
Yeah.
Small world. Lesha for 3. He's kind of got the Kryback release. A little bit lower, right around the chin. I don't know if anybody.
There we go.
And 1. And that's an and 1 opportunity. And 1 opportunities here at Blackhawk TV are brought to you by Packman's Concrete. Packman's Concrete. You can reach Nick Pack at 612-804-5222 or packmansconcrete@gmail.com for all your concrete needs. So that brings Hawks within 4, looking to make it a 1-possession game here with about 3 minutes left in the first half. Off back iron. And Somerset's going to come down with that. And Clausen's going to take a tumble.
Yeah,
Looks like things.
He got hit. He got hit in the back, and
Things are getting a little bit more physical, and our BW's JV squad is not averse to that. They enjoy that kind of development. So it'll be interesting to see, if the Johansons and Heimers of the world start flying around a little bit more liberally. Hopefully not for the sake of both teams' health, but you never know on the JV floor. Heimer commanding his troops.
it was the same catch and kind of stutter that James got called for a walk for earlier.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say that the lack of ball movement, hard to understand if this is a zone that they think it is, or if it is a man.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a.
Yeah, because nobody's reversed.
It's not a zone.
I don't think it's a zone, but I think they think it's a zone. And that's going to be a block and 2 free throws for the Spartans.
I mean, the Hawks have made a good comeback here. I mean, they were down about 10 early and close it to 4. This is the well, and if anybody from Somerset's watching, I mean, they've obviously seen the Score Vision scoreboards. There's a different one that's typically used for the varsity that shows individual points and fouls, which is nice. We'll keep that on your screen the whole time up in the top left.
Some more pressure from the Spartans. Got about a minute and a half, and that's going to produce another turnover.
Live ball turnovers. I wonder how many of those.
Thread the needle with the pass. No finish there.
Those kids from last year are playing. Still, I would assume Melvin is.
Yeah, you'd hope.
I know Jackson Cook was a phenomenal sprinter. I don't know if he's.
Sure. Yeah, hurdling, I think, was his specialty. Interestingly enough, the Somerset fans will remember, and most likely some BW fans, the Proshiks, Max and Luke. Max obviously was a Wisconsin Badger for a time, then was an all-conference linebacker at River Falls, and Luke played a little bit of football at Eau Claire, but they were both 2-time state champs in the 110-meter high hurdles. And I know Jackson was a state qualifier. I'm not sure if he.
See, I thought it was just a 100-meter sprint, but
could have been the 100-meter open. We've got Mr. Kryback showing off some handles.
And the only reason I think that is because we had a 10U baseball game in Osceola, and I drive up there, and there's vehicles everywhere, and it was like sectional.
Tall ball for 2.
Sectional track, so I walked over around the building and just happened to see him cross the finish line because I saw the older Kryback like run down the way, and it's gonna be half.
And it's gonna be the younger Kryback for 2 right before half. So Somerset up 7, 26-19. Going into halftime of this JV game. We'll be back in a little bit for the second half. Welcome back to Blackhawk TV's presentation of BW versus Somerset. This is the JV portion. We've got about a minute left of halftime. Somerset up by 7, 26 to 19. They put on quite a bit of pressure in that first half, producing quite a few turnovers and some transition opportunities. Looks like for BW, we've got Evan Clausen is going to remain in the lineup, so he's going to play 2 halves of JV. I think James Borkhart is in the locker room with the varsity at the moment, so starter James Borkhart not in the second half starting lineup, but I believe Brody Paul starting in the second half for Ryan Wiedendahl. Other than that, same starters.
Was Ethan? Didn't Ethan Ferndenzer come in the second group of 5 too?
Yeah, he did. So Ethan Ferndenzer also in. I think that might be the.
So James and Ryan.
Bork. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like for the Spartans, as we kind of suspected, Lesha, who had a real nice first half, he is with the varsity at the moment, probably getting ready for some varsity action here in the next game. Gonna have 2 free throws for 24. That's Gabe Sayers. 1 letter away from Gale Sayers.
I was going to say not to be confused with the
Chicago Bear.
Great running back of Zach Ambrose's favorite team.
Chicago. I would be curious to hear if famous cameraman Zach Ambrose is familiar with the sports writer that Aaron Rodgers is beefing with at the moment.
Kind of.
Anything?
Yeah, I heard that one. We turn his mic on one time and he forgets he's a cameraman.
As a Packer fan, I just refer to that guy as a bum. He has a name.
Yeah, it's a weird name.
What is? Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, it was a bad take. I don't know anyone who didn't think it was a bad take.
So I was listening to that last night on some radio syndicated show on my way back, and basically the guy's message, and I'm trying to find his name, Hub Arkish.
Yep. Which is a great name if you're a sports writer. It's hard to forget.
Although we all did.
That's true.
His issue, he had an issue with Arkish's take. His bigger issue was that Aaron Rodgers, as he said, felt the need to punch down.
Oh.
He says he's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like if Tom Brady would have been asked about this, Tom Brady would have said, "I didn't see the comments," and moved on.
You're correct, and that's something that I'm a fan of Aaron as a Packers fan and as a person. But that is the in between legs, not his own.
His leg. Yeah, there we go.
For a left-handed layup. But that is the one because talent-wise, skill-wise, obviously not accomplishment-wise, but Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are 2 talents that it's really hard to find, parallels in the rest of football history when it comes to throwing the football efficiently, productively. But
there we go, little run out.
And Ethan Fernandez is making his living with left-handed run-out layups, and the Hawks are within 2, which is the closest they've been since the beginning of this game. But that is the big differential, other than accomplishments with Brady with 6 Super Bowls. Rodgers won. Is Rodgers does tend to get a little upset and talk about being upset, which is, I mean, that's his preference. But Brady, he kind of leaves that to his own thing.
I mean, let's not pretend that Tom Brady hasn't been involved in controversy before.
Right. But he's never, I mean, the hot takes that Rodgers is fine with having, I just don't know. Even during the Flakegate, if Brady was that.
No, he didn't say much.
Exactly. 3-pointer from the Spartans brings that lead back to 5. We got a little zone look once again, and that's going to produce a turnover. Live ball.
Live ball turnovers. That's the worst type of turnover. Yeah, I mean, Brady was asked about Antonio Brown right after the game, and he says, we care. We care about him, and we all need to care about him.
Right.
Has Aaron Rodgers always been like that, though?
Yes.
Okay. See, I'm trying to think back, and it's.
Yep, he's always been, and what he was a lot more of that actually I've seen him get better with. He would be like that on the field. Like, he would be very emotional. He would be overly emotional in his response to negative plays. And it's not that it would be to the detriment of the team per se, but it was definitely to somebody who knows that that matters, whether you're a competitor or you're a coach. It does matter, the nonverbal signs that
Right.
your leaders give. And who it matters to are, for all fans of sports at any level, it matters to every single person, whether it's a player or a fan, looking up to that person.
Right.
That's the biggest deal. Yeah, nonverbal communication, the most common communication, and a lot of times the most important, is extremely important to have a handle on if you're a leader, if you're somebody of influence. But
I mean, how many times has Aaron Rodgers thrown a Microsoft Surface? 0, right?
0.
So it's not like Tom Brady's this
Perfect.
model citizen either.
No. But he has been a model and a citizen.
And he's married to a model and
Yeah.
also a citizen.
Yeah. TB12. Maybe that's what, the young Nygaards all like between you and your brother. 6? Are there 6?
There's 7
7.
children.
Which one of them can pick up a TB12 sponsorship? That'll be seen.
Mm.
With the new NIL.
It's true. We need to start that now, I guess.
I think the metro area probably gets a TB12, athletic development center soon, and then when that starts, the snowball gets rolling.
Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. I should get off this live streaming business and work on.
That's a really good play by 15.
He just keeps his dribble. Just
That's great.
pretty chill for a freshman.
After he skies up over everyone.
Mom is very tall, so I'm assuming that young Kane Donnelly is not gonna max out at the 5'7" or 5'8" that he is. Maybe he's a little bit taller than that, but
Yeah, and I think Somerset fans would agree. But I think the Somerset team in a couple years might be pretty tough.
absolutely.
I think they're going to be a tough squad to go against, which is great. I love that for the middle border. It's fun.
The alumni pep band's coming in, right? This is Coach Niger? I think that's what it is.
This is an alumni pep band.
Yeah, so I saw Bassick post on.
Oh,
Mr.
baby.
Bassick, Dr. Bassick. I'm not sure how he likes to be referred to.
Is he a doctor?
I
Is he a
think
doctor,
so.
Mr. Bassett?
I don't know. It wouldn't shock
Oh
me.
yeah, there's Mr. Ethan Rumpel. Love it.
Get a shot.
It's gonna be loud, which is good.
Yeah, the band being loud is one of the best parts of basketball. One of the things, as a player, as a young fan, and then as a coach, in the other gym,
Oh,
I mean, this gym is fine, but the band in the other gym was the best.
yeah, I've talked about my experience with fall in love in basketball in that gym ad nauseum, but my literal first memory of high school basketball is the sound of the band. I remember that vividly. I was like, what is that? And that's so cool, because you can't hear yourself think.
Right. And speaking of loud gyms, the last high school basketball game I ever played happened to be in Somerset in the sectional semis against Spooner.
Which is huge, and the fact that they could make that place,
It was overfull.
that's awesome. A gym so big that for a number of years they would not.
Pull up the second side, right?
Yeah.
So we got another hand one there for the Spartans. So I wonder if, and I don't have the live chat on because we aren't monitoring that. So, but I wonder if there's Somerset fans that are watching, or even Blackhawk fans, that remember that game in the spring of 2002, because there was an ice storm on the way home. Bus took forever to get home. And for Blackhawk fans that go back even further, a snowstorm after a game at, I can't remember if it was Unity or Osceola, where a lot of people didn't even try to make it home. They just stopped in Amory because it was such a bad snowstorm. That would have been in the later 90s, 97, maybe 98. Would have been a good time to have the live chat on, but
Yeah. Elijah Heimer, no good for 3. Tall Paul with the rebound.
knock it down, Evan.
Evan Clausen for 3, left hand, good. And lets the bench know that's worth 3. Helpful young man. Hawks within 3. It's a good game here. We got about 11, just under 11 minutes to go in the second half.
I feel like it was less letting the bench know and more letting Mr. Dockel know. He's only done 2 games so far with the clock.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Evan just wanted him to know, like, hey, Mr. Dockel, make sure you had 3.
Above all, Evan's thoughtful.
Yep.
And that was a display of that. Elijah Heimer.
Shout out to Evan. Actually, he helps tutor. I don't know if tutor's the right word. We have a student in 5th grade who's doing some advanced math. So Evan comes over and helps support him in the advanced math that he's doing as a 5th grader.
So when BW football center Noah Starr is a senior, are you guys gonna? I mean, are they gonna send him over to UW River Falls for Calc 2, or how's that gonna work?
That's a really good question. I would assume.
Yeah.
Based on.
Of course, if he wants to, I would assume he's going to be interested in that.
Yeah.
Continue to be interested in that.
So I had the opportunity to do that and chose not to as a senior, and a buddy of mine had the same opportunity. Took advantage of those opportunities and actually went to college and registered as a first semester sophomore,
right, with
all of his college credits. And then there was me who didn't.
Yeah, I think. I don't know if she played any sports, but somebody that I used to go to church with, Rebecca Dix, as a freshman at UW-Madison, I believe by her second semester she had brought so many credits over that she was like a second semester junior. It was absurd.
Yeah.
And you can do that.
Yeah, good for the people that can. It's
and
like Doogie Howser.
And the really, really cool part about that, for all listening, is that the ones you do in high school are free.
Yeah.
100% free, and the ones out of high school are 100% not free.
Speaking of college credits, you're done with them now.
Yeah.
Done. Congratulations again, by the way.
I appreciate it.
People weren't listening last time.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And 24, that's Gabe Sayers for 2, and we're going to keep the pivot foot there with Feedy. Good job by him. Somerset up 5. I think Somerset by me rocking some new threads this year. I don't remember.
Well, they got the new logo.
They do.
So they've got rid of the profile of the Spartan, and now it's more of a head-on Spartan.
Kind of the motion in the same vein as the motion W with Wisconsin.
Yep. So if you can see, you can't right now, but we have the old.
Yeah, I was gonna say the banner.
Yeah, the old banner is up, but the shorts have the new Spartan, and our the lead-in for the YouTube thing has the new Spartan as well.
Right.
Which is cool. Getting a new logo is cool.
Mm-hmm.
We can't now for like 20 years because the arrow on the football field is stitched in. So.
Yeah, until we get our domed 2-level press box facility. The Jason, what's his middle name? Nobody knows. Let's go R. The Jason Arcel Football Complex. Until then, we will have the arrow, which is fine. I like the arrow.
Yeah, the
I remember when I was in middle school, or not middle school, when I was in elementary school, I thought the fact that we, because I was all about, the way a court looked, right?
Right.
In the old gym, there was nothing at half court, and that just, it wasn't the thing. And then when we got the BW on this one, I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. When I was in 3rd grade, I was like, yes, got the BW.
Well, we got the BW in the other gym when they covered up the.
Right.
They put the BW in Lego, the Legos in the wall.
Mm-hmm. Three-point lead for the Spartans. We've got a full timeout.
Which gives me time to probably thank all of our sponsors at Blackhawk TV, making this possible here. We got quite a few of them, so bear with me. Firehelm Langer, Timmerman Realty, St. Croix Garage Doors, Wisconsin Credit Union, CW Garage Door Distribution, Nielsen's Foods, Strikers Lanes and Sports Bar, Flagship Ford, A-Star Concrete Pumping, Precision Excavating Enterprises, Precision Truck Service, American Family Insurance, Justin Nygaard Agency, Schaefer Financial Services, Blackhawk Garage Door, Anytime Fitness, The Forge Chiropractic, Pete's Construction, Baldwin Lightstream, Auto Appeal, O'Connell Funeral Homes, Fender and Jewelers, First Bank of Baldwin, Charlotte Heimer with Aflac Insurance, Christo Orthodontics, TMS Auto, and Village Pharmacy. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Ambrose, you go for a run today?
I did not. I'm on a little week off.
I was going to ask you if you were going to go for a run tomorrow. It's supposed to be the coldest night of the year tonight.
I ran Saturday and Sunday, and as a matter of fact, some people saw me running and, of course, think I'm crazy. I'm actually sweating a lot in what I'm wearing. It's a lot. I've actually said in the summers I try to run when it's abnormally hot, and running in the abnormal heat is significantly harder than running in the cold.
Right.
Actually, like, borderline dangerous when it's over 100 because you can't cool down.
Living on the edge.
Yeah. But me and Layman have talked about this. It makes like your average 30-degree run just like, oh, that's not bad.
A breeze. And when you don't have 6 pounds of clothes on.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, I'm not the runner that you guys are, but I did do some 5Ks when I was a little bit younger. And the kind of the rule of thumb was that you dressed for it to be 20 degrees warmer than it actually was.
Right.
Because we went to one and it was 0 degrees, so we dressed like it was 0 degrees, and by the end it was like, goodness sakes, it's
Yep,
hot.
usually it's, you want to be not cold when you start, but you warm up.
I'll be honest, I only did it because afterwards I treated myself to a Bloody Mary.
There you go.
Fernenzer with 1 of 2.
I once ran a half marathon where there was a beer at mile 12. Kind of odd.
It would be odd.
I was too young to drink it.
And we've got Kryback from the elbow. No good. He's got the same kind of quick release his brother had. Yeah, it's funny to think of, whether Medina Ortiz is on a college team or not. Some of the ankles being broken on intramural floors this winter by the likes of that Somerset team last year, whether it's Jackson Cook, Kryback, Medina Ortiz.
So just a quick Google shows that he, from last year's team, Trey Kryback attending Edgewood College in Madison playing basketball.
Sure.
Melvin Medina Ortiz attending Ellsworth Community College in Iowa Falls playing basketball. Danny Schachner playing at UWEC.
Sure.
And Tyson Wink went to Eau Claire to play football. Now, some of those things obviously can change, but
Something I learned while Dylan Carroll going to Ripon is I didn't know there was varsity reserve games in college. I wonder if that affects eligibility with the gray shirt.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a proper JV for football. Like there are college JV teams. And then I didn't know that about basketball, I guess. I'm not sure. Division III is a different world when it comes to eligibility. It's hard to understand all of their rules. Then you've got I think Parker Nielsen is taking advantage of the extra year of eligibility. He's on the roster, a freshman again. Is Johnny Davis a freshman again?
No.
No. Okay.
So, doing a little digging here in the Ellsworth Community College basketball team. It appears that Ortiz played one of the first games, had 3 points. But just last night, against the Des Moines Area Community College, scored 13 points in a win.
There you go.
Good for him.
So Somerset's grown that lead back to 9, 42-33. I don't know if it's gotten to double digits for a while, and Jackson Johansson goes for a ride, and we've got a Somerset Spartan down. That's Gabe Allen, Jr.
Shoulder, it looks like he's holding.
As he took Johansson, who is grinning not because of the discomfort, but because that's the most fun he's had in probably a couple weeks. Johansson never shies away from contact, which is a great thing on the football field. But that resembled a very physical, combative jump ball we saw, or held ball we saw 3 years ago with Dylan Carroll as a junior. at Prescott, which was one of the, it is the most, it's the craziest jump ball I've seen, held ball I've seen, where he went up and over a guy that was holding the ball, and dual possession, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Long two from Donnelly, no good. He's going to get the rebound. He's going to end up back in the opposite corner.
Looking ahead to the girls' game tomorrow, the River Falls stream referred to Brooke Cladd as the gambler the entire game. So
why is that?
I'm not sure.
Well, that's her favorite song.
Oh.
Yeah. I would play that when she was a freshman. When we would do summer workouts, she would always ask for that played during the, I think it was the 6:45 workout crew, and yeah, that's her favorite song.
Good old Kenny Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Late. I think he died last year, or is it 2021?
I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. I'm too busy. Krybeck is on the Edgewood College roster, but doesn't appear to have played. That could be wrong, but. March of 20.
I can't remember if that's the same camp. I can't remember if the high school shares a campus with them or not. Madison Edgewood had one of the better football teams in the state this year, and was disqualified at level 3 due to an ineligible player.
Yeah, well, you know why he was ineligible? Did you ever hear the whole deal?
No.
Played in was on the roster at like Madison West or somewhere as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Went and played 2 years in Texas. Came back up, and the next spring ran track at Edgewood. So that's 4 years. Then came back in the fall, played football.
Huh. Yeah, that's.
So what was up with the timing with it? Did somebody just report it, or?
So Edgewood, the timing is a good question. Edgewood did not. They filled out a waiver for eligibility, but did not fill out a waiver for the 5th year. There is a waiver, and they did not fill that out.
Huh.
I watched a little bit of like the hearing of it, and it was quite evident early that the WI lawyers had done their job, and whoever was representing the school and or the player didn't have answers. Where the judge is like, "Can you explain?" and the lawyer was like, "Nope." So just not a good situation for anybody. They would have been, because they would have ended up playing
Catholic Memorial
in the state semis, and that would have been a
very competitive game.
Really good game.
Yeah, they had a passing attack. Edgewood did. That was one of the more potent offensive units in the state. Of course, I've never been a fan of Edgewood since my junior year when they knocked me and Dylan Weavers out of the state championships down at Madison, but that's neither here nor there. 3 sets.
I mean, it sounds like it's both here in Baldwinville and there.
Well, the third set shouldn't be a tiebreaker in high-level tennis. It just shouldn't. But it was, and we lost it. So
you mean it was like 6-6, and then you had to play a tiebreak?
Well, no, we split the first 2 sets, and we won the second set, had momentum, and then in a 10-point tiebreak.
So there wasn't even a third set?
No, not in the
10
first
points.
round. Yep, in the first round of the state tournament, no, they elect not to.
I share your frustration with you right now.
Good.
For the first time ever, because I didn't know that story.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, though. That was a lot of fun playing down there. Getting down on the court, I laughed out loud. I was like, this is so cool. But, yeah, it's a good time. Me and Dylan had a really, really fun year. Cool. Really fun year. Shout out to Coach Rumpel, who made a lot of really cool memories for a lot of tennis players here. Made those happen. He was Hall of Famer for a reason.
Yeah, legendary.
9-point lead for Somerset. They've got their own, I believe Coach Larson's in the Hall of Fame. The Wisconsin Football Hall of Fame.
I mean, if he's not, he will be.
Yeah, he'll be in a National Hall of Fame if I were to bet with the success he had for all those years. It was just a given growing up as an elementary school kid, middle school kid. It was like, who won conference, and then it was like, well, it was Somerset.
Yeah. They were not in the middle border when I was in school.
Prescott wasn't either, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Would you have ever had the opportunity to guard Nick Johnson?
Well, he was a senior when I was a freshman. We played in the playoffs. We actually had some kids that had missed some practice, so there was some kids pulled up, and didn't really know going into the, well, we knew going into the game, but the day before the game we didn't know which kids were going to be playing. So there was that opportunity, and I was, we knew he was their best player, and I remember thinking, I'll guard him. And then I watched him, and I was like, I couldn't guard him. I think he had like 28. They won. He was good. I'm guessing he wasn't much of a talker when he played.
Right.
And
he did, however, remember exactly how many dunks he had.
Which is fantastic. He even said, I feel like that's an important number.
And what's funny is I bet you he knows exactly how many dunks Parker had, how many dunks Doffing had. I don't know. I'm assuming PD dunked.
I don't know. Momov has, though.
Yeah.
Which is great.
But the reason is I think there's a leaderboard right up here, and I'm pointing to my head in Coach Johnson's head.
And he's first.
Dunks at Prescott, yeah.
So we got 1:38 left. The lead is now 7. What we will do at the end of this JV game is we will end this stream, and then we will move over to the other link. Probably not right at the 15-minute warm-up mark, but we will begin a separate stream there, so you could watch these games later without having to try to find where the one game ends and the other game starts. We usually give the disclaimer earlier, but we tend to talk about things other than the game during JV games, but we'll lock it in and focus on the varsity game here when that starts soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Tons of conference standing implications going forward, and the later in the season we get, the more important each one of those conference games becomes. So it's January, February basketball. Tensions are high. It's a lot of fun to see who shows up. We're going to get a football pass down, and that's going to be
call timeout. Evan called.
Intercepted by Clausen, taken away by Kryback, and that's 2 for the Spartans.
Yeah, we have 4 timeouts left in that one. When you're in a position of not going to have success, burn one.
Yep. Acrobatic attempt by Heimer. And interestingly enough, I don't know if you heard on the live stream, to those listening, watching, but when you yell foul to get a foul, that is now what?
I mean, to my understanding,
if a coach yells it,
can be viewed as an intentional foul.
Right. Because I remember coaching
That's a
CC,
good offensive play right there.
having to develop different words.
Well, for us, it was get the ball. Get the ball.
Yeah.
Go get the ball, which means go try to get the ball, and if you foul, you foul.
Yeah, which for some of our more literal players at the time was a little bit more challenging to understand, but that's what can happen.
My favorite get the ball intentional foul story, and I believe I've shared this with you. When I was high school, or maybe just out of high school, I was helping coach our youth stuff, and the team that I had was 6th grade, and on that team was Cody Ninman, and we were playing the team that had Dylan DeMontz on it, and we were losing by, I think, 2. We didn't have the ball, so we needed to foul. So we had instructed our guys to foul. And Dylan caught the ball at the top of the key, and Cody runs out, grabs him, and just helicopter throws him towards half court. 2 shots and the ball, and we lost. He's like, "What? You said foul?" Yep. For those of you that know Cody, that story probably surprises you 0.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. Yeah, the class 1 year older than me were freshmen football players when Cody was a senior, and the stories they would tell of how terrifying it was to be around him at practice, not for bad reasons, just because he was a unit, as they say.
Yep.
Not one to be messed with.
Talking back about the conference, I was looking the other day, just curious who came in the conference when. New Richmond was the only time they weren't in it, besides obviously leaving recently, was when you were in high school, like 99, 2000, 2001. That's it.
Yeah, they were in it
Like,
when I was a kid, and then they weren't in it when I was in high school.
When you would have competed, yeah, they weren't.
Yep. We actually did play them my senior year. Johnny Emerson, 1,000-point scorer for New Richmond, ended up playing a year for the Badgers. Before I think he went to be a really good player at UMD. We beat them in the regional semis.
Have they always been a larger school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's so weird because I mean, if you look back at like the original middle border, Hudson, River Falls.
Yeah.
So it's you just try to keep you try to keep schools similar enrollments together, and things happen with infrastructure that causes cities to grow quicker. You know,
right.
Somerset has been booming in size since before they were in the middle border.
Yeah, and I think Hudson eventually will get to the point where even in the big rivers, that the Eau Claire schools, for a lot of years, Eau Claire Memorial have been the largest enrollments. I think Hudson over the next 20 years might even get to a point where it's like, hey, can we still be, just because Hudson's going to become a Woodbury-sized city,
right?
And it's only getting taller geographically. So
well, and what's crazy is, I mean, when I went to school in River Falls, I worked in Hudson, and there was a gap in between those two cities.
Right.
And now they're just touching. They're the same. The same, I think, with there's some small towns in between Somerset and Hudson, but it's really the same thing now.
Yeah.
And you know, as Hudson expands east, more people end up in Roberts, and Central is getting that much bigger.
Yeah, there was a discussion for people that like history when Baldwin and Woodville merged, and before St. Croix Central was a thing. There was discussion of Baldwin and Hammond being co-opted, which I think would be a really, it's an interesting thought experiment to think of Baldwin, Woodville, Hammond, and Roberts being St. Croix Central and having a enrollment right around 1,000, being a big river school most likely. The different teams that would have been put together over the last handful of years, football particularly, and basketball. But here we are, and
we just did that thought exercise there.
It was fun.
Yeah,
they're the best.
If you'd like to go more in depth, I'm sure you could reach out to Jordan. He's probably got it in a notebook somewhere where he's.
Yeah. Well, when you work overnight, you do have a lot of time to think, and high school sports is the best. That's where I found out that a friend of the Blackhawk TV, friend of mine in Nygaard's and Ambrose's, Ty Ketz, was 5th all-time in single-game passing in the state of Wisconsin.
I think he's probably not 5th anymore. Guess.
He's top 10 for sure.
Maddox for 3.
As it doesn't really matter what year. Getting over 5. I think he was at 5'19", I think.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
All right, well, that'll do it for a JV game on the night. We have the Somerset Spartans with 53 and the win. Baldwinville Blackhawks with 39. We're going to turn this stream off. And join us, please, over on the new stream that we will start here in the next 5 to 10 minutes.